So for task 4, we're going to be running several different types of functions, and the functions are a little bit more like programming. So the very first one, we are going to be displaying invoice number and terms ID, and our boss wants a column next to terms ID that will say, if the terms ID is a 1, it will display net due in 10 days. If the terms ID is a 2, net due in 20 days. If the terms ID is a 3, net due in 30 days. So this is a perfect application for the case function. And the way it works is you use the keyword case followed by the column you want to check values in. Then you say when, and give it a value from that column. So when it's a 1, then, and after the keyword then, you can either have a number or a phrase. You tell it what you want it to display in the new column. So when it's a 1, then display net due 10 days. When it's a 2, then display net due 20 days. And when you're all done with the when clauses, you have to tell it you're done by saying and. Then you want to give the column a name. So you say as terms and you give it an alias. So we're going to go ahead and run this. And you can see next to each of our terms, we now have a new column and it's saying when it's due. So I'm going to go ahead and move my closing comment down. For the next little problem, our boss wants us to display invoices and indicate by looking at the due date if they're current, or if they're 1 to 30 days past due, or if they're over 30 days past due. So before we code anything in, we are going to insert some new rows into our invoices table. And if we don't do this, everything is going to be over 30 days past due. So we're going to use AP, and you can simply copy and paste this right into there. But we're basically inserting into invoices, and you can see the dates that we are using for the due date. They are in March and April. So I'm going to go ahead and run this. Okay, so I have those 4 rows inserted. And now I'm going to move the comment down. And we can code up what our boss is asking for. So again, we're using AP. They want invoice number, invoice total, invoice date, and the due date. Okay, then we're going to use case. And because we are looking at the difference between when it's due and actually what today's date is, we have to use the date difference function. And the way the function works is you have to give it some kind of an interval. So our interval that we're looking at is days. You could give it months, you could give it years. Our interval is day. Our beginning date is the invoice due date. The date that we are going to be subtracting from is the ending date. And if the difference between the two is greater than 30, then it's going to display over 30 days past due. Okay, if that's not true, then it's going to go down to the next one, and it's going to, again, check the invoice due date against the current date. And if it's greater than 0, it will display 1 to 30 days past due. So the order that you put these statements in is important because it's going to check the top statement first, and this is where you want the larger difference. So if it's greater than 30, we have that first. If that's not true, it's going to go to the next line. So at that point, it's not greater than 30. If it's greater than 0, it means it's between 1 and 30. So that's what we're displaying. Now, if that's not true, we've coded in an else, and they're current. So all we're going to do is display current. Here's the end for the case. And if I wanted to display that on the next line, I could. And we're giving it an alias of status. We're grabbing all of this from invoices, and we're really only concerned if we have a balance greater than 0. And that little calculation stands for balance. So we're going to go ahead and run this. And because we ran the insert, you should see some values that are 1 to 30 days past due and current. Now, I've run this twice, so I have double the values. So you're only going to see 2 that are 1 to 30 and 2 that are current. You're not going to see as many as I have unless you run it more than once. So at this point, we are done with the case, and I'm going to move the closing comment down.